Thank you. Mayor, on the mayor's update, I mentioned earlier this evening, we were welcoming really a new council that'll start their official term January 1st. And this has been such an extraordinary year. I felt like it was appropriate to acknowledge the work of this council and also the work of so many people here at City Hall. And so I typically like to do things more shoot from the hip and just have a few bullet points to refer to, but there's so much that has gone on in this last 2 years, and particularly this year as we dealt with COVID. I've got some prepared remarks that I'd like to share with you. So if you'll indulge me, I'd appreciate it. But it's my pleasure to welcome our next city council to office to conduct the work of the people in Bardstown for the next 2 years, beginning January 1, 2021. I want to congratulate each of you on your recent re-election for another 2-year term in office. And I've enjoyed working with you all the last 2 years and certainly excited to be able to work with you again. I'd like to take some time tonight to reflect a bit on the accomplishments of this council and this administration over the last 2 years. It's been my experience in all the years I've been with city government that I don't think people realize the scope and the complexity of the work that the council and city staff must deal with and accomplish in providing all the services we provide here in Bardstown, and also many parts of Nelson County, because we provide services, particularly in utilities and internet and cable out into the county. In January, I want to outline some of the goals that the council members have and our administration and myself. We'll do that for the next 2 years. We'll do that during one of our January meetings. But I've compiled some information from feedback and reports that I've gotten from the city council members and our staff as it relates to the last 2 years. And the information that I'll share tonight is by no means a full representation of all the work and accomplished over the last 2 years, but it does highlight many of the most significant results of our efforts. And with the leadership of this current council and our city staff, here are some of the major work that has been accomplished in the last 2 years. Of course, the biggest headliners this year is COVID-19. The city of Bardstown provides a number of essential services, so it was paramount that we responded in a way that resulted in the least disruption or impact on those services. As the pandemic evolved, our work has evolved here at City Hall. We immediately incorporated safety protocols to make sure that our services could be provided on a 24/7 basis, particularly those that we do provide on a 24/7 basis. Public safety was our #1 issue. Fortunately, no department had a significant outbreak of cases, and so we were adequately able to staff, particularly the critical departments: police, fire, electric, cable, our water and sewer plants, public works, and garbage collection. Internet service was never more critical with schools that were going to non-traditional instruction and so many people working from their homes throughout this time of this year. I mean, we're nearly 9 months into the pandemic. As a result of that, we added a lot of hotspots here in Bardstown and also throughout the county and established a lifeline tier that was very inexpensive, and that tier would help needy families who couldn't traditionally afford internet be able to afford an internet, particularly for their students who were home under NTI instruction. We never stopped responding to maintenance and repair issues on our infrastructure during this time. I mean, there was a brief time where during the shutdown, our technicians could not really go inside people's homes to do installs, particularly with cable and internet, or do repairs. A lot of that had to be done remotely for a time period. Sometimes We did it literally standing outside of people's home and talking to them from a distance in order to best correct their problem or get their install done. So was the level of service in all our departments perfect during this time? No, it definitely was not perfect. Was there interruptions? Yes, there was interruptions. But, we dealt with this challenge of COVID like everyone else had to. We were in uncharted territory, and I think our staff and our city council really stepped up. Risk management started, they sent out a bid for a request for a proposal for a risk and resilience assessment on that requires us to measure the risk and the resilience of our water system for malevolent, I can't pronounce that word, acts, natural hazards, monitoring practices, and the use of storage of our chemicals. Of course, the fire department made history when we opened our second firehouse, Fire Station 1 now. This will have a significant impact to reduce our response time. It also helped us reduce our ISO rating for insurance purposes from 6 to 3. That has resulted in many of our residents receiving discounts on their home insurance of anywhere from $100 to $300 a year. But the response times is the key there. And also we placed an order for a new fire engine. That's a very long period of time. We won't receive delivery of that fire engine until 2022, but that will be replacing a fire engine that we currently have in service that's 30 years old. The police department deployed the body cams this year. Body cams are from a company known as Intrinsic. This was a project that got started in discussion as soon as we hired Chief Kressig and Joe Seeley, Major Joe Seeley is one of our assistants. We began talking about that in 2017, and we're happy to say that it came to fruition this year. They also, we started in the last 2 years to create our first narcotics unit internally at Bardstown PD, and it became fully staffed and operational with 4 detectives this year. We also added a new canine dog this year and a canine officer. Our old canine had a lot of age on it, and his handler, Sergeant Colley, in his position of being sergeant, it just wasn't practical for him to also be our canine officer. So that changed. And as you heard recently, this narcotics unit has made a number of major busts here that took a lot of drugs off the street, a lot of money off the street that could be used to further their illegal work and weapons. And of course, 4 individuals were also charged with manslaughter. And one of our cases that hasn't gotten a lot of publicity locally started through a overdose death here in town that has now been picked up and being handled by the United States Attorney's Office out of Louisville, and will be prosecuted with a federal indictment in Louisville for the death of that individual. Moving over to the finance department, our CFO, Aaron Bowles, this month is his first year anniversary. He started, I think, December 2nd last year. As you know, he came in under a very difficult time after the theft of a lot of money was discovered. And Aaron came in, stepped up to the task, and has really proven that what a excellent accountant that he is. You might recall that when the CARES Act money became available for cities, we were the first city to apply and get approval for the first round of our reimbursements. And that's a testament to Aaron's excellent work that he did, but also a testament to the record keeping that our department heads did for that. And I'll be talking about that here shortly, but the record keeping that they did, that we started So we felt like we could get reimbursed for COVID-related expenses. That was put together and submitted. And I'm very proud of the fact that Bardstown was the first city to receive approval for that reimbursement. And today, Aaron presented me with the final application for the first round of our COVID funds. It'll be, we sent that off today to be reimbursed for the last $69,000 of those reimbursements that are eligible. As you know, the council and the city of Bardstown, I think, immediately responded to the COVID, not just with safety efforts and so forth internally to protect our citizens and our employees, but to help our community, help our business community specifically. In our phase one relief, we distributed $121,000 in grants to the community. $65,000 of that was from the city. $56,750 of that was through our partners. We had a public-private effort on that. A lot of individuals and a lot of businesses really stepped up to help our business community, small businesses with these grants. We also donated in that first phase $20,000 to United Way so that they could distribute it among the eligible nonprofit agencies here in our community. Phase two came about. That is when we went together with fiscal court and our county government partners, and also some additional private donations. And it also was the result of some work. We had put together a task force to come up with some more input and feedback from them, business leaders here in the community, educators as well, of what was needed. And again, that second round of grants was $146,000 worth of grants that came from the city. Did $72,000 of that. The county did $74,000 of that. And then we had $10,000 more in corporate donations to offset those costs. We also purchased 100,000 masks at that time. And they were very expensive. You couldn't find them. And through the efforts of our task force, we found a supplier that got us 100,000 masks. And to date, we've sold 73,000 of those masks at below our cost because of the subsidies that we received privately. Fiscal court contributed $35,000 of that money for the mask, and we got another $33,000 from corporate donations. So those first two rounds of relief was a wonderful example of how city and county governments can work together and work with the private sector to help situations like this. And I dare say that there's not many cities the size of Bardstown and counties the size of Nelson that have had such a dramatic effort, both with the public and private sector, to help out in this case. And recently we approved $100,000 more from our CARES Act funds to create another grant program for the restaurants and bars and gyms that were affected by the most recent governor's executive order. And to date, just so you know, that started last Wednesday, and we have had 25 applications so far have come in, and we were anticipating somewhere between 20 and 30. So it looks like that will happen. And one thing that's it's not as large or probably doesn't get as much attention, but something I think we should definitely be proud of is our blessing boxes. That was the idea from Councilwoman Hart and Councilman Hibbs, and with the council's support. And Betty, I don't know if you or Councilman Hibbs have an update on, I know we got roughly $1,000 of that. The cost of those boxes were donated to us, and former Councilman Fred Hagan built them for us. But I know there's been a tremendous support from the community towards those boxes. Could you give us just a quick update on that? If I know I'm caught you off guard maybe, but you might be able to add something to that.
I think Councilman Hibbs has those numbers he's going to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Mayor. I think, not to speak for Betty and I together, but I think starting off, we just wanted to make a small impact. And I think it's really snowballed into something the community's really got behind. To date, we have over $3,000 worth of bags purchased from this Save a Lot bag program, which is absolutely fantastic. And if I had to guess, we probably have that or a little bit more just from the community themselves going back and restocking these boxes and helping out. And it's really heartwarming to see the community really stand behind a project and try to help those in need.
Thank you, Frank. And just kind of wrap up the COVID stuff. There's been about $33,000 more in donations from the city to agencies that have been directly working to lessen the impact of COVID on our community. So we've really worked hard, and hopefully the new stimulus package that was passed yesterday and this latest round of phase 3, that our businesses will be strong enough to survive. And then we look forward to 2021 being a much better year locally for them. Our clerk's office, Gary Little and Lisa Burdett, our city clerk and assistant clerk, have done a number of things to redesign our forms and our operating procedures, which is going to be a much better, more efficient way to operate the clerk's office, and also and help improve our record keeping. So great work on that. And we've done, of course, a lot of work through our utilities. The electric department, one of the major things is, I probably might have to call on Councilman Knowles to elaborate, but the electric department, this has been something we've talked about for about 20 years, according to Eric Richter and Jeff Mills, that is our conversion from 4 kV to 12 kV voltage conversion. And from a layman's standpoint, we've been talking about this, but we finally put this in operation. We're doing that conversion in parts of our electric service area right now. And for me, when I understand it, it's a much more safer system, and it will make the cost of operating that system, from a maintenance long term, is going to be much cheaper, and that's very important. And I think it's a more reliable service, so we should be happy about that. David, I don't know if you could add anything to that shortly, but I'm not an electrician, so that 4 kV and 12 kV is a little hard for me to understand all that.
No, Mayor, you pretty much hit all the highlights on the head. I mean, it's going from 4 kilovolt to 12 kilovolt. Those maintenance issues definitely get less. Line losses are less. And the biggest thing, I think, is the amount of inventory that you have to stock. Before, there had to be several different types of transformers. They can cut that number down and be more efficient as far as what type of inventory they have to stock, and then they're more readily available. The old 4 kV transformers would become less and less available and become more expensive, actually. So it's a big savings all the way across the board.
Okay, thank you, David. And then obviously on the other utilities, a lot of these got started. Some of them are going to carry over into our next year, particularly our Rowland Creek sewer improvement. That's almost $8.5 million project. A lot of that has been completed already, particularly the substation work and the increasing the line from our Town Creek plant going over to offload over to our Jerry Riley plant on Southern Lane. The actual line work is ongoing now on that project and will continue next year. As I stated earlier, we just completed our downtown water and sewer line update. Of course, involved also many hydrants. That was a $1.1 million project. And you can look for more of those, we'll probably identify another area of our downtown area that, those lines are nearing 100 years old. So it's time that they be replaced and updated. So we'll be picking more neighborhoods in the coming years to continue that. We painted and repaired 3 of our water tanks, Withrow Court, Nelson County Industrial Park, and one of our tanks is actually located in Hardin County. Did that. We started construction on our new public works building, 11,000 square foot building at Paget Drive. And obviously that's just getting started. We'll complete that project next year. And then our big sidewalk project from 62 on John Rowland all the way over to Chambers Boulevard. It's hard to believe, but that's nearly 3.5 miles of sidewalk that we completed this year. And happy to say that it's done now and looks great. And we're hoping that we'll be able to do more next year, starting on Chambers and tying that into Templin. So that would be a wonderful extension there, and we're hopeful to have that done. Of course, internet service was essential during the pandemic, but it's essential as a way of life. So high-speed internet is very important, for people who work from home, but also students. And we've been expanding our services, both here in the city and out in the county, and going to see more of that happening. Pretty soon, there's going to be, I think, a total of 3,000 city customers that are going to have speeds up to 1 gigabyte per second. So that's a wonderful improvement. But we have expanded out to this year. And last year, we did Mount Moriah Road, Gordon Drive, Stevens Lane, Lily Pike, Yates Cooney Neck. That was some of those were done, also completed this year. And we're also working on currently out in the county, Bear Creek and the Potter Shop Road area, Wilkinson Road and the Chester Hahn and Dugan Lane and T Hahn. So more areas out in the county that we are currently working on, and we will have some, hopefully these will be completed in the next 6 months. Recreation Department, I know that a lot of people feel like we don't probably give them enough consideration, but we'll be talking more about that in January. But they just finished over $200,000 worth of work on the rec center here itself. They did over $60,000 worth of improvements at the Woodson Rogers Park this past year. And then over the last 2 years, thanks to a lot of volunteer work and a lot of our public works and recreation department employees, we've done some major improvements on our walking trails at the community park. And it's really, really a wonderful addition. They've been there, but they've been underutilized, and they're really a lot better now. So really providing another recreational opportunity on top of what we already have. And then, of course, we added probably the hottest thing in recreation is our SkyTrack zip line here at the Recreation Center here close to City Hall. That's been so well received by the young people here in the community. And I know Daniel and his team is planning to perhaps put another one up next year. And last but not least, Historic Review Board, the amount of work and stuff they're doing is triple today what it was 5 or 6 years ago. The number of cases they look at, or number of applications they look at. But they've also updated the sign ordinance. We increased the number of temporary sign allowances, and we created the campus master sign plan, which was a major addition to our sign ordinance. So that was really well received as well. So kind of including, I know I've taken a lot of time, but I just felt like that, people don't maybe necessarily understand the amount of work and the complexity of it, as I said earlier. And this goes to the council. There's a lot of work that they have to do in between meetings and the committee work that they do. This is a very complicated business. We have 5 utilities plus the garbage that are revenue producing, operating first responders, the police department, the fire department, electrical, cable, internet, water, and sewer. So not any small task for all this to come together. And I just want to thank this council for the work you all have done this last 2 years. Thank our staff. We've got a wonderful staff here that has stepped up and operated under some really difficult conditions this year. And I'm really proud of what you all have done for this city, and you all should be proud as well. And so I think going into 2021, the future is bright for our government operations here at City Hall, but also for the city of Bardstown as a whole. And want to wish everyone, a happy and safe holiday season, and certainly a Merry Christmas. And well, thank you again for everything you all have done for us. So that being said, I know I took quite a bit of time, but it was important to me to let the community know the level of service that this council and this city has provided over the last 2 years. And again, these were just the highlights. There's pages and pages of projects and processes and procedures that we've taken on in this last 2 years. And I'm excited about what's coming ahead of us, and look forward to working with each and every one of you.